The Olds 442 was a spectacular muscle car. Powerful engine, gorgeous looks, great handling. It would take some ambitious thinking to make this car any better. But Hurst was known for that kind of thinking. What George Hurst was after was an executive hot rod, a tricked-up 442 featuring the bad boy 455 cubic inch engine instead of the usual 400 motor would fill this bill nicely. Hurst immediately saw the possibilities, and so did Oldsmobile, who gave the go-ahead to make 500 cars. But there were a couple of problems. To make it to the dealers before the end of the '68 model year, they had to make all of them in just 30 days.
By the time I got the program approved, there was no time, and I needed a building.
Ted Lucas, Oldsmobile's chief engineer at the time, remembers how they solved these little issues.
That was a creative thing, believe me. I introduced Doc to John Demmer.
John was already a supplier to General Motors, and John was also an enthusiast.
And we got the cars out and shipped them over to John Demmer to put the shifter in, put the stripes on it and the wing on it.
This was the picture of the '68 cars. This is at a Demmer facility, and you can see this is not the height of automation.
There was one more minor detail. GM had a policy that prevented engines larger than 400 cubic inches in intermediate cars. But Doc Watson had a fix for that one, too.
And for everybody that wants to know, they already had the 455s in them.
The Olds 455 prescribed by the doctor was heated up especially for this application. It featured a 474 lift cam, the big valve heads from the 442, a rejetted Rochester quadrajet carb, and a recurve distributor. The 442's force air induction system helped this engine make 390 horsepower and 500 foot-pounds of torque. The car was otherwise standard issue Olds 442, but needless to say, they all featured a Hurst shifter. Since Olds wasn't geared up to do Hurst's signature gold color, the '68 Hurst Olds came in Peruvian silver, with a special black accent stripe and the black rear panel laid on at Demmer. These were highlighted by white pinstripes, and every one was hand-painted by a fellow named Paul Hatton, who performed this work at the princely sum of $20 per car. By the end of the fast and furious 30 days, 515 of these cars had been built. But thanks to the power of the Hurst trademark, Olds dealers had placed orders for nearly 3,000 of them. Because of this demand and the media attention attracted by this marriage of Olds and Hurst, for 1969, Hurst rolled out 914 copies, including 2 convertibles. The '69 car received a more Hurst-like paint scheme, with fire frost gold stripes on its white body. Cold air to the 455 now came from an outrageous dual inlet hood scoop, and a functional rear wing now sat on the deck lid. Other special touches to the '69 Hurst Olds included English-style racing mirrors, custom headrests, and 60 series tires on 15-inch Olds rally wheels. The '72 Hurst Olds enjoyed the honor of being the first Indianapolis 500 pace car to be produced not by a major automaker, but by a specialty company. It continued the tradition of the executive hot rod, with 499 coupes and 120 convertibles getting the treatment this year. Over the next 15 years, 7 more versions of the Hurst Olds were created. Each one showed the special style that only a team of hot rodders, led by a man named Hurst, could bring to the project. The Hurst Olds today sits at the top of the must-have list for every classic car collector. And each one, from 1968 to 1984, is exactly what George Hurst, Doc Watson, Dick Chrysler, and the rest of their team intended it to be. The muscle car, raised to the next level.
They represented the excitement and the passion that people have for automobiles today would belong to the person who bought it.
Hurst had now grown into the muscle car